Welcome, friends, to the Soul Talk podcast, a show where we explore and uncover the path to the heart, amplifying your conscience. Join me as we meet incredible souls who are in this journey and learn from their experience and different methods that will make you vibrate your heart. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here in Soul Talk. Today, we have a very special episode in this one because we're going to be talking about the hero's journey. That is a program that of Karin, that she is going to be talking about us about a little bit more about that. We're going to be Chris and me. We're going to be collaborating with her, but let's jump in and
Okay.
What is the hero's journey?
First of all, let me say how excited I am to be working with you guys. I love both of the work you do, and I just think that you're going to complement what I already do really well. Like we're all on such a similar wavelength that it's going to be a magnified experience for anyone who joins us. So the Hero's Journey is a program that was channeled by Source. It wasn't channeled by me. I've gone through the facilitation course and my complex trauma training, and so I'm qualified to take people through it, but it's not something I created. And basically what it is, it's an 8-session program run in HypnoScript that runs parallel to the story of the Wizard of Oz, that takes people into the remembrance that they've got all of the answers within them and there is no place like home. And each of the HypnoScripts is delivered in what's called theta consciousness, which is the connection in with the superconscious. And so that awareness, which is the child brain genius, puts a spotlight on the shadow parts of our programming that we haven't resolved. So it brings up to the surface all of the belief systems that we have that don't serve us, but which, limit our capacity and stop us from growing and stop us from being, the best we can possibly be, live the highest potential we can possibly live. There's a lot of embedded psychological anchors throughout it, and they serve as the purpose of making the participants, good if I could speak, feel really, really safe throughout the process, because they step into the space and they go, oh, this is familiar. I've been here before. I did really well last time. I can do it again. So it kind of builds a foundation of safety and security that then it just keeps being added to. So do you want me to talk a little bit about what the actual journey is, or do you want...
But before we jump over there,
good,
because it's going to be very important to talk about that. But before we move on, I just wanted to clarify for the viewers that the hero's journey is precisely where we were from, where all the pain, all the trauma, and everything was from, and to become the person that we really want to be, the experience of life that we want to be. So this is the process that we are going to be taking you, the three of us, with this program of the hero's journey, to be have the experience of life that actually everybody wants to have.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yes.
So it's a program that's aimed at dealing with our core wounds. Most of the time we don't even know that they're there. And so it's a 16-week program that will bring us through a transformational shift and an identity reclamation. That's the biggest part of the programming, is that we're actually reclaiming our identity that was taken from us by limitations being imposed on us. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So the first session is like a calling in. It's a very sacred ceremony where different realms are called in to support. I always feel it as like an energetic shift as well too. Like I can feel it literally shifting things within my physical body, but it's like a threshold moment where people come into the space, greet each other, and then go like, this is real. I'm ready for this adventure. Let's just see what unfolds. It's the awareness of surrendering to spirit, so that whatever comes into the space will come in for your highest good, even if it's challenging. So if it's coming in as something challenging, it's coming in because it's something that you need to shift and move through. And, you know, you'll be given resources along the way to help you with that. That's the first stage. Second stage is the creation of a safe space. And that safe space is actually a superhero hangout. And the reason for that is, so my mentor is Bron Lee, and she's the one who downloaded this from source. And the reason for that is we want people to have a foundation of safety. When people have somewhere that they can go to that makes them feel safe and secure, they can reset their central nervous system again, first of all. And there are physical anchors that are put into the program to allow that to happen. But at the same time, it also gives people the capacity to be able to say, I'm prepared to take more of a risk. I feel safe enough to be able to step outside of my comfort zone to the edge of my discomfort and push that boundary a little bit and see what's on the other side. Maybe I'll travel to Oz and put my foot on the yellow brick road and see what it is that's on the other side and bring back some resources that are going to help me.
And I feel that is very, very important, because the change, the transformation, is in the other side of the comfortable zone.
Yeah.
If we stay in the comfortable zone, things are going to be exactly where they are, uncomfortable as they are.
Yeah,
100%. So that is very, 100%. Very important.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you've got the nervous system and safety support in there, and obviously the hypnosis to take people in, and you've the whole process, and you've got your training in trauma, complex trauma and everything. So it's kind of really held. It's beautiful. Yeah.
It's a really beautiful process. Yeah. And I think the challenge too is that so much of the time people don't realize what they've actually got trapped within their body. Like they say that 85 to 95% of the decisions and choices we make come from our subconscious. Now, if that's happening, we're not aware of what we're doing. We're actually even doing it before we're aware. And so that this work puts, by engaging the superconscious at the same time as the subconscious, and also bringing in light from the earth as well. So the person's like embodied in a cylinder of light. They not only do they feel really safe, but they begin to look at things very differently. Start questioning the belief systems that they had of, for me, it used to be, I'm not capable of navigating technology. And so, I would literally, I remember the very first time I had to navigate technology, I was in tears, like beside myself in tears, in front of a classroom of children. And all we had at that stage, because, I've been teaching for 40 years, the only program we had was this thing called Turtle Logo that you could draw a square with. That was all we had. But I was convinced that if I walked into that room, the computer was going to self-destruct on me. Now, there must have been something in my past life that put that there. And I know that my dad was a very competent engineer, and Mum couldn't even work at the VCR, and obviously I took after her. So for me, but they weren't an awareness in my everyday waking consciousness. They weren't there at all. So people start to see what are the things that have really kept them quite trapped and limited in their viewpoints, and how they can push beyond those. So we're really creating a sanctuary there that people can come back to when they're feeling discombobulated as well. And I know for myself, when I've done, because I've done the one-on-one and the hero's journey, when I did the one-on-one, I would just hold the physical anchor, and all of my anxiousness would just disappear. Like I could just feel it floating off me. It was quite bizarre. And people who would have a hook into my anxiety before as a means of revving me up, they wouldn't be able to. And I watched their faces go, why can't I get a rise out of you anymore? And, why is this not working? I'm trying to poke the tiger and there's no response. Like, what's going on here? It was very unsettling for them, but very liberating for me.
And something that I wanted to bring out for the viewers, that people that are seeing, many times we're not aware that even our conscious is not in our body.
Yeah.
So we're not even aware when our nerve system, it is so alterated that we cannot sit down and do a meditation because our nerve system is actually out of whack in that
Yeah.
moment. So it is important, you're going to learn in this class how to regulate your nerve system and know when your nerve system it is actually out there.
Yeah.
With many of the practice that Chris is going to be bringing into the play too. That
Yeah. Yeah.
is going to help a lot.
100%. Look, both of you, I know, having worked with both of you as well, I've gone back and dealt with trauma that I didn't even know I was still holding in my body for 37 years ago, from when my eldest son was born. I had no idea that it was still trapped in my body. But in that altered state of consciousness, stuff comes to the surface and you have a chance to look at it and push through it and see life very, very differently. You know, you can live a much more elevated life when you've pushed through the things that are holding you back. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, but the main part of that one is we're building the connection with theta consciousness, with the super conscious, so that we can put the spotlight on the things that we do want to change and build our awareness around what it is that's actually not working for us. Because that's the challenge for most people too. They're not even aware of what it is that's blocking them or holding them back. Okay, so the next thing we do is we go into what's called the Soul's Library, which is a bit like the Akashic Temple. Thousands of books on all of the things that have happened to us in life, all of the people we've met, the foods we've tasted, the places we've visited. And we get to have a look at what are the belief systems that are working for us, what's not going to get us to where we want to go, and which books, therefore, we need to get rid of. And we start, developing this kind of a filtering system of, what are the things I've created in my life that are actually blocking me and holding me back, and what are the thought patterns that are not going to be of any benefit to me anymore, and how do I get rid of those? What are the ones that, and they stand out like a sore thumb. I had one girl who did it, and the books literally flew off the shelf. It was wild. And there was another person who did it who had only 3 books on the shelf, and she could see all of the books in the background, but there was only 3 books. And when we spoke about it, she's like, no, those are the books that I've got to move the stuff out of that first. They're my priority. So they were put in front of everything else, standing out, because I've got to move the things there before I can get behind. They will unlock all of the other stories. Yeah. So that was really interesting as well too. Now that's very similar to the work you do with the Akashic Temple as well too. So that will be some of the things that you'll probably bring in to help clean up in between.
Because in a way, even if we talk about epigenetics, we're carrying all the fears, all the shames and blames and blockage, or if I'm good enough, or if I deserve and so forth, from our ancestors. And obviously maybe we never met that great grandparent, but we're still carrying the energy, the same fears, the same things. And in the Akashic, you can see that all that is coming up from not necessarily your past life, but from your own ancestors, that it needs to be clear and clean. So like that, you don't have to carry that baggage in you.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. You can get rid of some of those sacks of potatoes, hey?
Yes.
And the funny thing is, like, trauma is actually the energetic residue that's left behind from something that's been really difficult or challenging. And that can be carried in our DNA for 14 generations. So that takes us back to like the 1400s. Life wasn't great back then. There were some major big challenges going on. So, and people would have felt very unsafe, depending on which side of the fence you were sitting on. And even then, even if you were royalty, there was lots of people stabbing you back and wanting you dead. So,
It depends if you were a female or you were a male, because females, they were sold in a way. It's like you're going to marry, arranged marriage. It was very, very common then.
Yep.
Or property, last names, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So it was just an object of the females.
Yeah. Yeah. And Chris, I know, having done work with you before, you work with the ancestral realm as well, but in a very different way than how I do. So do you want to share maybe a bit of what you would bring into that space?
Yeah. So really, when I'm working with the ancestral realm, and it's one of the things that I do is really just connecting to, because all this information sits in our field, right? So, and we talked about how it would complement, working with Monica and myself, because when people are integrating stuff. So what I also envisage is that after one of the deep sessions that you do, Karnie, the core sessions, that a whole lot of stuff's going to come up.
Yeah.
And some of the remnants of that may be still in the field. So the work that I do, whether it's with the ancestors and working with the vocal sound frequencies, is kind of like a vacuum clearing and cleaning the field. But yeah, in my work, I definitely notice that people have stuff that's usually stuck at either at a young age in this life or in the ancestral line going back on the female or mother side. And it may be, a lot of my clients are women, and a lot of the times it's that women are supposed to not enjoy pleasure, or women are supposed to keep quiet, or it's not safe to be visible. So even though we're now in 2026, a lot of those patterns, if they haven't been reframed, or if there's been no transmutation of that, or stepping into a new possibility, that those patterns just continue. So I think the combination of the work that you and Monica are doing, and then coming in with the sound and cleaning it up, is going to allow people to have a total reset, a new start on that.
Yeah. And that's why I reached out to both of you and said, hey, look, I'm thinking of doing this again. I'd like you guys to join me. What do you think? And both of you, got very excited and said, yes, we'll join you. But, I've run it 4 times beforehand, and I've really felt that in the 2-week period in between, there's a lot of stuff that comes to the surface. Yeah. And it would be wonderful to have somebody else come in the week in between with a completely different modality and just come along and do some of the cleanup, and approach it from another angle, so that people, aren't looking at it from only one perspective. Because I know the shifts that I've had in working with both of you. And, as a healer myself, it's important for me on a philosophical and philanthropical level to get other people's modalities out there as well. Like, there can't be a one size fits all for everyone. And even for those of us who might have a particular bent in one area, say we love doing meditations, or we love going into the Akashic, when we try something different, there's still going to be a result. It just may be a different result, or it might give us a different angle that we haven't looked at. So I've been looking, the reason I put off doing my next round was because I wanted there to be a deeper cleaning up going on, and I wanted it to be from a different perspective than I could offer. And then I started talking to you guys, and I'm like, right, I found the missing units.
Love it.
This is what we need.
Something that I noticed, that the healing comes in layers. Like, yes, you can take the layer from on top. Okay, yes, I don't believe in myself. Okay, I work with this one. But underneath, removing that one, there's more stuff in there 100%. That it comes from this life or past lives, or we're just picking up from other people too.
Yeah.
And that create the identity, that the one that you're talking about, to create a new identity, so you have a different life experience.
Yeah. And it's interesting because that those layers that you're talking about, they also have a reflection in the brain as well too, because the brain has triggers that it remembers. So it might go, I don't believe in myself. I don't believe in myself because I'm not worthy. Oh, I'm not worthy because nobody showed me love when I was a child. Okay, I was unloved. I was unloved because I was unrejected. I rejected, not unrejected. I was rejected because there's nothing likable about me. And so there's these thought patterns that just go trigger and have created literally a brainwave, literally a pattern in the brain, like you've chopped down a pathway in a forest. And the brain doesn't stop to think about, like, is this the logical and best place for me to go? It just goes, oh, you don't believe in yourself? Well, I know that pathway. I've traveled down that one many times. And so we're on that pathway at lightning speed. And so what this does is it puts the awareness on the pathway. And what you guys do is exactly the same thing, just from a different angle.
And having a different perspective from what you just said,
Yeah.
it is like in my case, when I do not believe that I deserve better, I ended with a wrong person, because
Yeah.
someone that it was gonna see me exactly how I was seeing myself.
Yep.
So yes, I was beaten up, I was abused, etc., because I don't thought that I deserved better.
Yeah.
Until I make that shift and start loving myself, that's when I actually get rid of that person.
Yeah.
And then I can start living my life. And you're gonna see it reflected in jobs and relationships, in your money, and you're gonna see it
Yeah.
reflected in every aspect of your life.
Yeah, 100%. And it's always, okay, I'll sheepishly admit this. When I joined up to do this work originally, when I first began the course, I thought that I was joining up because it was another great modality that I'd be able to offer to people. I was still very much in my rescuing archetype, very, very much. I thought I'd done all of the work on myself, because I'd worked my male abandonment patterns for over 20 years. And it wasn't until I did this modality that I got to see what was going on for the 3-year-old, and why life was so challenging for her, because my dad was away at sea. He was an officer with the Swedish Merchant Navy. He could be gone for 9 months. And the 3-year-old had no concept of time. All she knew was that a taxi came. She saw the bags out the front. The taxi came and her dad was gone, and she had no idea when he was coming back. And so at the time when I visualized that, I saw this little 3-year-old letting out this ear-piercing scream that was internalized, because mum had just had a new baby. She wasn't allowed to wake the baby. She wasn't allowed to make noise. She could be distraught and sad. She just couldn't let anybody know about it. And to me, that was like, it was very confronting, but at the same time, it was the most powerful information, because I then got to realize, oh my goodness, no wonder there's rage within me when I'm not a priority. It's the 3-year-old that's performing out. The 3-year-old doesn't feel safe. She needs to be seen. She needs to be present. She needs to be rescued. And that's what the biggest part of this process is, going back and rescuing those parts of self that are still trapped in a story of their own making, that they think is keeping them safe, but that they've outgrown long ago. Yeah.
And I think it's that, Karnie, it's that, and I'm sure, with your work, my work, and Monica's, there's elements of that identity shift of actually sometimes it's seeing the identity, the old identity, and how it's playing out is the most powerful thing. And
yes,
to me, the old paradigm is you need to fix yourself, and that never works. Whereas I know that we're in the game of, it's about transformation. It's about choosing something new, but not choosing it from the point of view of pushing and resisting the old. It's like making peace with the old and then transmuting and then choosing out of, for me, it's like neutralizing the energy. So if there's a charge there at 4 years old because, your father abused you, or this happened, or your mother said that or did that, then the number one step for me is to bring peace and harmony and compassion to that. And then even maybe some anger needs to be expressed, or some tears need to fall. And then once it's neutralized, then well, what do you want now? What is that little child that was stuck? What do they want to experience now?
Yeah. And how can they be used as a resource? Because essentially they've kept you safe. You're still here. Like they might have been running a program that was long outserved, but you're still alive. They've kept you safe for all that period of time.
Exactly.
So, and I think for me too, there's a big aspect around recognizing those stories so that you can comfort the child when things come up. So if for example I have a situation kick in where I feel like I'm not a priority anymore, my first thing will go, okay, 3-year-old, where are you? How are we sitting with this one right now? Because if you need me, I'm here for you. I've got your back. I'm your girl. Because she had no one back then.
Yeah.
She wasn't allowed to make people understand because it took them out of their comfort zone. So, you know, she was carrying, and I would get letters from my dad, and Dad spoke in broken English at that point. They were beautiful letters, but every single one of them finished with, be a good girl and look after your mum and brother. I was 3. How can a 3-year-old look after her mother and brother?
And we see actually that when the trauma happens too, we have also fragments of our soul that it gets separated from us.
Yes.
And it is important to bring those fragments of your soul so you can feel whole. Because or else there's always going to be a part of you that you're going to feel like it is missing.
Yeah.
So we're going to be integrating also some soul retrievals in there. So like that we can bring those fragments in this program.
Beautiful. Yeah. So I just think like the hero's journey on its own is really powerful. What both of you bring into it is just going to amplify it so much. Firstly, because there will be this incredible consistency of 16 weeks of clearing, but also you're both amazing at what you do, and you're coming from 2 completely different angles. So there won't be any complacency that kicks in. And I think also people are going to be excited to want to come and see, you know, what's happening next week. You know, they won't, you know, I think sometimes when you're only doing work on the stories, they can sort of feel like there's a heaviness in that, you know, whereas I know Christopher will have them in laughter the whole way through. And, you know, Monica, your work is very compassionate. So it will just be, you know, there'll just be 2 completely different elements that come into the space as well that I think will give it a much more rounded experience. I think it's going to be mind-blowing. I really do.
When is going to start so that our viewers know?
Oh, I had hoped that we would be starting around the Lions Gateway, but it really depends on when the landing page can get out. That's kind of really the last thing, because we've got to give people time to organise payments as well too. So, yeah.
So it will be around in the middle of August.
Mid-August to early September. Yeah. Hold on to your hats. And I can't even find my pricing on that. It was, have you got the pricing there?
I'm sorry?
Have you got the pricing there?
The calendar.
No, the pricing.
Hang on, it's on a different piece of paper. How's that for organisation? Okay, 16 times. Okay, so 1,776 Australian dollars for 11 weeks, and it's slightly more than that. That's if you pay it in full up front, and it's slightly more than that if it's over a payment plan option.
And I feel it is a very good price because they're getting the program, the journeys journey from you. They're getting also Chris with his beautiful tone. How do you describe with your work, Chris?
I guess it's vocal toning, vocal frequency. It's kind
of. I think you're a vocal liberator.
Yeah, it's like activating the energy body with the voice.
Yeah,
activating their energy. Yeah.
And they're going to get the soul retrieval, and they're going to get also the Akashic records, and we're going to be clearing from the past, the really, really past, to the present.
Yeah.
So it is I feel that it's a very, very good price.
Yeah, it's a transformational opportunity like you rarely see, to have 3 different modalities come together to do some phenomenal work that will just create a massive identity shift. Like my life has literally never been the same since doing this work, and that's for the better. But it also hasn't been the same since working with either of you guys. So, you know, I know that it can only be more powerful if I'm already doing powerful work and I had in 2 other people who are already doing powerful work, then, you know, that's like the trifecta, isn't it?
We're bringing them a village.
That's it. That's it.
How many models are in total?
16.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's 8 of the hero's journey. And then I think we decided on the first 4 were for Chris, and the first 4 interspersed between those were for Chris, and then the next 4 were for yourself.
Perfect.
Yeah. But I'm just really excited too that that by doing it over 16 weeks, there's that constant mop up and clearing going on, so that people don't feel like they have to sit in their own cosmic soup that they don't want to be sitting in for that period of time, that there's actually the opportunity to release some of that before the next session.
Yes.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's that energetic hygiene as well, isn't it? Like bringing
very much.
Like bringing in the vacuum cleaner, and like there's a lot of powerful processes, and then sometimes the energy just hangs there, and it's like, but having this combination, and then Monica coming in doing what she's doing, and then it's sort of like brings it all together. Yeah.
And I think like the beauty too is to come across 3 people who respect each other's work and who are prepared to support, validate, and acknowledge it. Like, that's rare in the spiritual realm. It really is. So many people are so competitive with each other, and so that just brings a different energy into it as well too. Like, you know, that's great role modeling to see 3 people who facilitate very different programs but also have incredible respect for each other. And, you know, clearly we communicate well. We're going to be working behind the scenes of, you know, like, this came up for me this week. What can you bring into your sessions to help our tribe of people work through that? You know, our communication is really good. So, but we're also a lot of fun, aren't we, guys?
Oh, yes, we are.
And laughter is, like, we were having this conversation yesterday, Chris. Why is laughter important?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, we were talking about this yesterday, weren't we? And it's like, a lot of people think, well, laughter is fine, but it has nothing to do with my life or my business or my money flow or anything else. But actually, laughter is one of the biggest pattern breaks. And when you shift your identity, what do you need? You need a pattern break. You need a new energy in your body. You know, Joe Dispenza talks about flooding your body with a new emotion. Laughter also ripples up through the belly, so it basically just frees up all that, you know, anxiety or stagnant energy that's sitting in those lower chakras. You know, it's liberating. Also, when you're laughing, you can't hold on to a problem. What keeps us stuck to the old identity is our problem. Is like, I have this problem, I have this problem, I have this problem, I have this problem. But when you're laughing, you can't hold on.
and even energetically, when you're laughing about fear, the fear's gone.
Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing that we can work with, is like, anger can turn into focus and power. You know, sadness can flip into its opposite, joy. Sexual energy is the same energy as creative energy, in a different form. And so rather than these energies, and if someone's experiencing limitation or difficulty, that same energy, the more limitation they're in fact, the more negative energy they're experiencing, the more there is to transform into gold. So
yeah. And I think the other thing too is laughter is the representation of the inner child. And this is what we're wanting to connect with. We want to connect with that inner child so that there can be a transformation, because so often we haven't liked how the inner child felt, and so we've made that inner child wrong. And so the way we're transforming and recreating identity is through reconnecting with him or her, and through building a new relationship. And so, you know, I find for myself now, rather than tantruming, my inner child will slip into class clown now. So, and you'll notice if I'm talking and I'm uncomfortable about something, I will say something quite funny to change the focus and put it over there. And I'm now catching her out and going, oh, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. You're trying a different way to get me to stop to try and distract me. And sometimes I'll have to, like pull it back into line and say, no, we actually need to work through this, even if you don't want to.
And for our viewers, so this is going to be the hero's journey, that it can be your journey. And it's going to start in the middle of August. And also it is about 16 models. And it's going to be with Karnie, Christopher, and myself. So if you have any questions, you can communicate with any of us, or we're going to have a link for this so you can register in this episode. And please share it with your friends. This is something that it can change not only your life, it can change the life of your friends, the people that you care for.
Yeah. And look, that's the other beautiful thing too, is when I've run it with my 4 previous causes, people have joined up with their friends, and then like they've got a common point of interest to discuss as well too. But it's just such a different energy when you're doing something with, someone you like, know, and trust already.
Yes. So we will see you soon, and
very excited.
Thank you for being here.
And thank you both of you for coming with me on this magical mystery tour. I'm really excited to see how it unfolds.